The threats have coincided with a bitterly fought campaign. And joining me now live from Madrid is Simon Hunter. He's the editor of the English edition of the newspaper El País. So, Simon, what more do you know about who's actually behind these death threats?
Well, at the moment, it looks like the three letters that were sent initially last week to the Interior Minister, to Pablo Iglesias, and to the Director of the Civil Guard all came from the same person. At the moment, the police have no clues, or they're reported to have no clues as to who that person is, because there are no DNA traces on the envelope, and a stencil was used for the lettering, which has made it difficult to do any kind of analysis of the handwriting. The package that was sent to the tourism minister, Reyes Maroto, that actually came with the sender's name and address written on the envelope. So obviously it didn't take the police long to track down that person. That proved to be a man who has a mental illness and apparently has a history of this kind of sending these kind of threats, and has also been obsessed with the minister in the past. And then the other ones that were sent, that were reported on yesterday, including the envelope that was sent to Zapatero and one that was sent to the Madrid candidate for Premier from the Popular Party, Isabel Díaz Ayuso. They seem to be from different senders. And one of them was actually described by the police as a copycat. So at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any sign of who's exactly behind these packages.
Right, but all of this leading up to next week's regional elections in Madrid and a campaign that's been described as toxic. How bad has it been?
Well, I mean, any debate about how to run the region seems to have all but disappeared. And this is an important election because in Spain, the regions are in charge of their healthcare systems. They're in charge of the COVID restrictions that are in place, and they're in charge of their own vaccination campaigns. There was one debate at the beginning of the campaign, which was televised and was fairly normal, and the candidates discussed the issues. But then really the first series of these death threats really interrupted the campaign and turned it very toxic, because the far-right Vox party called into question as to whether these death threats were actually real. And that prompted the Unidas Podemos leader, Pablo Iglesias, to walk out of a radio debate that was due to take place, much to the protest of the rest of the candidates who wanted him to stay. The debate continued, but the Vox candidate, Rocío Monasterio, was very provocative, constantly interrupting, proffering insults to the rest of the candidates. And the debate was actually abandoned. And on the basis of that, the rest of the debates ahead of this election were all cancelled, mostly because the other parties refused to have anything to do with Vox, and they're kind of introducing a cordon sanitaire to this far-right party.
Simon Hunter, editor of the English edition of El País, thank you so much for that update. And next week, that's when we'll have those regional elections in Madrid.